I think there's a 4-letter word involved, right?
I plead the fifth.
All right. Trade Nick Chubb. Whenever a team has an asset like that, particularly an asset that they seem to undervalue, we can have that discussion forever. But, there are a lot of Browns fans that are screaming, more Chubb, we want more.
Yes.
And then there are a section of fans that say, if you're not going to use him, then he's an asset.
What is this we're not going to use?
Trade him.
It's baffling.
What is this?
It's baffling.
Well, it's out there.
The man
You want the origin to this, by the way?
Yeah.
The man who got 15,000 yards. We ain't
I
going to
know.
use him.
Something that we have been told by our people upstairs is that we want to make the viewers of the show smarter.
Right.
So sometimes when we see a obviously ridiculous thing going on Twitter, it is our responsibility to inform them that A, it's probably not going to happen. B, let's set the record straight, but also let's have a little fun with it. So,
Right.
I don't know, Earl, who started this Nick Chubb rumor? Anthony Alford on a radio station in town, an unnamed, unnumbered radio station in town, I guess mentioned this as a hypothetical.
It is a hypothetical. I mean, could it happen? Yeah.
Yeah, but it's hypothetical. And then it caught fire as, should the Browns do this?
Sure.
We are here to tell you they should not.
This is
Well,
unbelievable.
If we had to put a stamp on whether or not, I think the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show does not support trading.
No.
Nobody on the show
But the
supports
question
trading
is-
Nick Chubb. But for the sake of this ridiculous discussion, in an attempt to make viewers smarter, what would it take?
It would take a game-breaking, big play wide receiver.
Not picks?
No, because we're not really good at picks. So we need a proven veteran.
We need someone that we know is good.
Somebody's young.
Give me Jamar Chase, and I'll
give me
think about
Jamar
trading
Chase,
Nick Chubb.
You can have Nick.
Yeah.
Chubb.
As ridiculous as that sounds, honestly, because the Bengals would never do that, as ridiculous as that sounds, Jason, that's what it would take.
Yeah.
I mean, you're talking about an elite, premier running back in the National Football League. And even though a running team may not win the Super Bowl, a team that's built to run the ball. But I will tell you this, it is increasingly more difficult to win a Super Bowl if you don't have a sound running game. Because you have to be able to make defenses prepare for both.
Yes.
And he's just a chip that is I think there are very few untouchables in sports. And if I'm listing my untouchables on the Browns, he's above Myles Garrett.
Would you trade Nick Chubb for Waddle?
No.
Just asking.
No.
This is because Jamar Chase is not going to happen.
No, Chase.
I'm just trying to
Chase
see
would not
if
happen.
somebody measurable.
And the Waddle thing that's interesting because Miami already has Hill.
Yeah.
So they have a game-breaking receiver that can take the top.
They're not using Waddle.
Well, I mean, it's almost impossible.
Like the Browns
to,
aren't
the
using
Browns
Nick
aren't
Chubb.
using Nick. They're not using him.
I mean, in this case, though, you already have a premier elite receiver. You only have one football. It's hard to use both of those guys to maximize their talents.
Stephon Diggs.
But I think about Stephon Diggs now.
He won't out.
I would think about Stephon
He done
Diggs.
with Josh.
Yeah, based on the video we saw between
he
he and
ain't
Josh
that dude.
Allen, Eli Apple, and we're going to talk about him coming up, tweeting out they need couples therapy.
Eli is I don't understand how
Save the
people
time. We're
hate
going to get
on
to
her.
it. We're going to
Yeah,
get to it.
save
the
that.
time.
It's coming up in 15 minutes. It is ridiculous, though. I mean, the notion that they would trade Nick Chubb is ridiculous.
Nick Chubb, I believe, is on pace to go to the Hall of Fame. If he continues to what he's doing at the rate he's doing it for the next 5 to 7 years, he's going to Canton.
Right.
So he's not just an elite running back. Like, he could be one of the greatest ever. I fully believe that. So, I mean, running back may not be the position that it was viewed 20 years ago, 25 years ago. A lot of teams look at these guys as interchangeable. But he is elite, and I just don't think on a team trying to win, this is stupid.
Well, this is the thing.
He's one of 3 backs to carry the ball 300 times last year. Don't tell me they don't use him. They use him.
They're not using him to their liking.
Because he doesn't get the ball on every carry.
No,
No,
some
'cause
fans want to
he's
see
not
him.
getting it 20-plus times.
Well, here's the thing. Some fans want to see him used like the Titans use
Derrick
Derrick
Henry.
Henry.
20 to 30 times
But
a game.
here's the problem with Derrick Henry. There's a couple problems. First of all, he's Paul Bunyan. Okay, now I'm not saying that Nick is delicate, but there are few running backs in the history of the league that physically look like Derrick Henry.
Yeah.
He is an absolute behemoth. Number two, he's been dinged with injuries. I know this past season he was. And we've seen what the Titans rely too much on Derrick Henry because when he's gone, they look pedestrian. They can't, especially when their quarterback, Tannehill, is hurt, which was a stretch that they went through this year. So I don't know that. I think that the Browns do use Nick Chubb enough. My beef with the Chubb usage, I don't want to see him on the bench in the fourth quarter. I don't. I just don't. The game is in the balance. He's your best player. Take the damn raincoat off of him and put him on the field, number one. Number two, why can't this ingenious brain trust that runs our offense figure out a way to use multiple back sets when you've got another back who's very dangerous as well? I just don't know why they couldn't weave those two guys together. That's my problem with how Chubb was used.
Well,
Ty, before you go real quick, I just want to clarify one thing. Derrick Henry's stupid durable. He's only played less than 15 games in a season once, Jay.
Derrick Henry?
Yeah.
Yeah, but how many played this year?
16.
He only missed one game?
And it was DMP for rest, and it was that week 16 game that they played.
How many carries did he have the week after that one or before that one? Because he was hurt in a game and came out.
He had, to end the season, he had 30 carries, 23, 21, 17, 28, 32,
Wow.
30, 28.
In my mind, they lost 6 games in a row.
The game they lost to Philly, he only had 11. So maybe that was the game.
Well, hand up.
That might have been it.
Hand up. I'm the idiot who said I thought Derrick Henry was wearing down this year about early in the year, midway through the year. Yeah,
No,
I
he clearly
was wrong.
did
I
you
was-
really say that?
No, but,
Oh, yeah.
no,
Yeah,
but
I
his
did.
numbers.
I thought because he got off to a slow start, and
He
I
did
just
get
thought,
off to a
He
slow
did.
I
start.
just thought that the overusage of him was maybe catching up with him. But nope, I was wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah, he looked
he's
just
a
as
beast.
strong as
would-
ever at the end of the season this year.
My thing on the Nick Chubb getting traded thing is that I think the person that would actually be the most upset about it would be Deshaun Watson. Because, you know, I'm listening to Deshaun after games, and all he talks about is when he was suspended, watching Nick Chubb, and he couldn't wait to play with Nick Chubb because he grew up, I guess he grew up watching Nick Chubb as a younger or something like that, and he was like, I couldn't wait to be in the same backfield with him. Plus, people don't understand.
He's from Georgia. Sean's from Georgia.
Yeah, they don't understand the amount of pressure it takes off of Deshaun. If I could just turn around and hand it off, and this guy's going to break and make these big-time plays, that makes it now, instead of 2nd and 10, we talking 2nd and 3. And I could throw a slant. I don't have to throw the home run ball. Or now I can set up play action, and now I can throw the home run ball because they're coming up to try to stop Nick Chubb. So I think Deshaun would actually be kind of upset by the fact that they got rid of Nick Chubb because of how
And he should be.
impactful he is to the run game.
He should be.
Yeah, it's nonsensical. It's not happening.
It's not
Now,
happening.
what I think we're going to see next year is, I believe that, as much as I hate to say it, I think Hunt is out.
Yes, he's
And I think we're going to finally get to see
Jerome
Ford and what he brings to the table.
Dearness Johnson coming back.
I hope so. I like Dearness, but here's the thing. You've got a couple of, if
Is he unrestricted or restricted?
I think he has 1 year under Brown's control, one more left. Did they extend him?
Well, he was unrestricted last year, and they re-signed him, and I don't remember.
I thought it was 2 of team control, but I could be wrong. We can look that up. But here, I thought the problem last year was they had a talent, they had a wealth of talent at a running back position. Dearness is a serviceable back, could start for a number of teams. I think Jerome Ford, what little we've seen of him, he's shifty, he's decisive, he's fast. I want to see him more.
I'm talking about Dearness.
I'm talking about Jerome Ford.
Oh, Jerome.
In the preseason, he had some
He
runs.
looked good.
And
that's the preseason.
Yeah, I know it
so
is, but I like his decisiveness, speed.
He's a heck of a
and
returner,
picking a
I'll tell you
lane
that.
in returns. And I think great returners also make great runners, running backs.
Cordero Patterson is showing
Right.
you that
Yeah.
before your
So
eyes.
I just think that last year, one of the problems of the way our roster was constructed was we had the best running back room in the NFL, in my opinion. It's debatable, but
That's fair.
when you look at Hunt and Chubb in the starter role, and then you look at Ford and Dearness sitting back there saying, guys, what about us? I believe they had an abundance of talent there.
They did.
And we're clearly lacking in talent at the defensive interior line spot. So why wasn't there an effort to move Dearness Johnson for a defensive lineman.
Well, ain't nobody taking you. You're not about to trade a defensive tackle. First of all, running backs come a dime a dozen. Defensive tackles
Allegedly.
does not.
Yeah.
You're not going to find. If you get a defensive tackle, you hold on to that guy.
But if
like
you're a
QB.
team, I always say you got to have a dance partner to dance.
Yeah.
I thought that there were teams that were clearly lacking a running game. When Bull kept saying they're not going to trade Hunt, he's untradeable, nobody needs him. I kept saying Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay needs him. They're a running offense.
So who are you insinuating they trade?
Well, at the time we were having the discussion around the wide receiver.
Oh, okay.
Because they have an abundance of wide receiving talent.
Okay.
So because we were so deep in our running back room, that did us no good last year. Mm-hmm. If you count the number of plays that Dearness Johnson and Jerome Ford were on the field last year.
He was a scratch a lot of the time.
I know he was.
Dearness was not active
Right.
for a number of games.
So there he sits. He's doing your team absolutely no good. You have an asset. I don't know what they could have gotten for him.
But that proves the point that Tyvis is making. You think Dearness wanted to come back here and be number 3 at best?
If
and he probably doesn't want to come back next year.
If he's unrestricted, he's not coming back here.
But he's unrestricted. He can go anywhere he wants.
I imagine he's gone.
He ain't coming. Why would I do that? No.
But he could have left after last year.
Yeah, but if you're restricted.
No, wait, no. Could he have left after last year?
If he was restricted last year, no.
I thought he was restricted.
He had an opportunity because I was talking to him about this after his big Thursday night game. I thought he's made himself a lot of money.
Sure.
Somebody else is going to pay him. The fact that he couldn't find a better offer out there and had to come back here proves your point.
That's what I'm saying.
Like, he didn't want to come back here and be number 3 or 4 on the depth chart, but he didn't have a choice.
When you restricted, whatever the team that holds you offer you, you really got to take. Like, that's what it is. Unless somebody qualifies. It's like basketball. We match the offer.
Sure.
Come up with a better offer. We can match it. If not, we'll let you go. That type of thing. Nobody gave him anything. So he literally had to come back to the Browns. But now that he's unrestricted, he's free to sign with whoever
and I would
he wants.
doubt he would want to come back here.
No. If you got Nick Chubb and Jerome Ford as a drafted guy who's valuable in the return game, and I was a healthy scratch all season, no, I'm not coming back here.
Yeah.
Because the only reason he was a scratch, it not only shows that they weren't going to use him in the running game, but he wasn't even an asset on special teams. Like, they couldn't even utilize this man on special teams. Then that's what makes you become ineligible for the game.
It was a big surprise.
Or inactive, I should say.
He was, because to your point, when he played, he carried the Browns in that Broncos game. It, to me, felt like he's got a spot here moving forward. And then when they drafted Ford, it was a real head scratcher for me. So you can almost go back to the decision to draft Ford.
Well, they was planning on you got to prepare for the future.
It was a value pick.
I get that, but you drafted a guy at a position that wasn't a position of need. You always hear that. Teams need to address their weaknesses. And we knew what it was, and I know they drafted interior linemen. Mm-hmm. To your point, they're not good at picking talent, at least there.
Well,
their track record there is awful.
Defensively, but they hit with the Martin Emerson one. But I think that the reason, could it be that the reason that they drafted Jerome Ford, what is he? He's a guy that can catch the ball well out the backfield. He can run the ball. Who do you know on our roster right now that does that? Kareem Hunt. What year is this for Kareem Hunt?
Yeah.
It's contract year. So why would we pay Kareem Hunt and we got this rookie under contract for the next 3 years?
Does Dearness Johnson had no trade value whatsoever?
Nah.
I'm just surprised.
I mean, somebody would.
In his
what do you consider valuable? Are you willing to let him go for a 7th round, 7th round pick?
No.
All right.
And if that's the best they could get for him, no way.
Because now you go into the season.
But what do they get for him now?
Nothing. As you go into the season, you think
he's an insurance policy.
You thinking, oh, we got Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt. Kareem Hunt gets mad and says, oh, y'all not giving me the ball like that. Now he got an attitude problem. He requests a trade. Now we really can't let go of Dearness now because we might. If we get rid of him, we need Dearness.
If he pulls a hamstring, if Chubb pulls a hamstring.
Happens, we need somebody that we know can go in the game and get it done.
Obviously, they feel better about Jerome Ford than they do Dearness Johnson in terms of ceiling, long-term trajectory.
Sure. Well, he got a lot more playing time this year than Johnson.
Yeah, if they were all in on Dearness, they probably don't take Jerome Ford.
Correct.
But when Ford's sitting there in, what was it, the 5th round, and you look at this guy going, gosh, this is a terrific running back. Look at the value we're getting here. Is it a position of need right now? No. But in the 5th round, you're trying to draft guys who could be starters for you 2 years down the road, 3 years down the road. And I think that's what the
I
Ford
know,
pick
but
was.
you always have to look out for your middle your midterm interests too. But for a team that was built to win now, I just feel better addressing the glaring weaknesses. And I know they thought they did that with their picks.
They took Perion Winfrey in the 3rd round.
Yeah, they did.
They
Took Alex Wright and Perry.
Yeah, they
the year before they took Togiai, right?
Yeah.
And so they think
What
they're
the
addressing.
hell happened there, boy?
Listen, he said this last night on the. There will be no Buckeye slander when I'm in my presence.
But my God, I mean, what happened with Togiai?
He hit the quarterback
wait
one time.
Stop.
and then he was
Listen.
inactive
Wait a minute.
the rest of the year.
Could it be that the the D line didn't do well last year, and it was a reflection of the coaching?
Sure.
Could that be a thing?
Could it also be?
Could that be a thing?
It could be.
Okay.
But could it also be that
Now
the
it's the coaching.
I'm just asking a question.
Could it also be? I mean, their tackles were terrible, and he still couldn't get on the field. Could it be that?
Yeah, that's bad too.
It doesn't help.
It's bad too.
It doesn't help.
You
That's
know what?
for sure.
He's under contract for another year. They have a new defensive coordinator coming in who specializes in D-line play.
Yes, he does.
So, anybody that's currently on the Browns roster that's at the D-line that hasn't been succeeding, if you can't get it now, this is it. Like, we gotta
And
let you know.
furthermore, the other way, if these guys suddenly become productive,
Oh,
then Joe Woods isn't getting a job.
Well, I was asked about that by him last night, and I was saying that I think Joe Woods.
He's going back to a position coach, right?
Either position coach or he'll be like the analyst. You know how
Flores in Pittsburgh,
was with
right.
Pittsburgh.
Schwartz in Tennessee.
Yeah, he'll be doing that.
Yeah.
And just for the simple fact that, he did have, when you look at his resume, he did have stretches along the season where his defense played really well. He needs to go sit under. To me personally, and this is not a knock on Joe Woods, when he went to San Francisco, he learned that defense. It's not naturally the defense that I think he wanted to run. I think he just learned it, he understood it, and he was like, okay, if I become a DC, this is what's fresh on my mind, I'm going to run it. So what he needs to do is he needs to go back to a place that's running that defense, Jets, San Fran, something like that.
Right.
He needs to learn how to make adjustments, because the thing about inheriting the defense is that you might not know the ins and outs of it. You might not know how to fix everything. But if you go under a guy who actually studied this defense and runs this defense correctly, you'll know how to make adjustments.
That's an interesting.
So
that's a very interesting point.
say if he went to the Jets and he sat under Robert Saleh again, and something happened over the course of a Jets game, and Robert Saleh grabbed the boards like, this is what we're gonna do, boom, 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 and it's fixed. Next time he gets a DC job and that issue comes up, he'll have an answer for it.
Yeah, no, that's very interesting. Yeah.
And it's exactly what you said. I was talking to, I used this quote after the Bills game. The Bills, I walked away from the Bills game going, they have to fire him. Like, that's where I came around where it's like, they don't trust him. They don't trust his scheme, and it's not the scheme. Like you pointed out.
No, it's not the scheme.
It ain't the scheme, but the players had no faith in him and no trust in him. And one of the players I was talking to after the game said exactly what you said. When blank ain't working, change it.
That's what I'm saying.
Change something.
'Cause
they don't ever change anything. They
what's
never
sad
change it.
is
And
that-
perhaps because he didn't know what to change
That's
it
what
to.
I'm saying.
Yeah.
I'm sitting there and I'm watching the game, like secondary wise. And I come on the show and I tell you exactly, before we even get to the guy, say, listen, if this corner does this, and communicates this, and this, it will be a no play. How, me as a player, a former player, know that?
Well, you
and
played in that
don't?
system.
That's what I'm saying, but I was in that system all my career, so I was able to study and learn all the checks and adjustments. Like I said, I don't know if he kind of got all of that yet. And I think that's why it would do him some service to go sit under somebody that knows the ins and outs.
Well, he's going to have to sit under a Salah.
Yeah,
or
gotta sit under
somebody
Salah
that's
or-
running it,
Chris Richard from the Saints, who's actually getting interviewed somewhere. He getting a DC. Oh, with the Dolphins.
I didn't see that.
He's getting a interview to be the DC at the Miami Dolphins. Shout out K. Rich, man.
All right, so he'll probably end up as a position coach under someone that's currently running that same offense.
Yeah, that's
and
what-
maybe he'll get another crack at
That
it.
would be great for his career.
Yeah.
So will Joe ever be a DC again?
Yes, he will
Wow.
be.
I agree.
He will be.
I agree. I do think he will
he
be
needs
too.
he needs to get more energy to himself.
Yeah.
Because if you listen to the exit interviews, it wasn't a lot of motivation. It wasn't a lot of energy on game day. He needs to let the Kevin Stefanski thing go. You know, Kevin can sit back and be calm because he's the head guy. You need the guy at the top to be calm. You need him to be level-headed. No matter what, if things is up or down, you need somebody to be balanced. But as a position coach, especially on the defensive side of the ball, you act off of energy, emotions. Like that's what gets you going. And people want to see that excitement, that energy. So he needs to get that in his personality.
It's not there naturally.
Yeah, I don't think naturally is there. He needs to become that guy, and I think he'll get more guys to feed.
You know, players, though, smell authenticity.
Yeah.
And they also smell fake.
That's true.
And if he's trying to bring this fake energy that isn't baked into his DNA, players going to be like, look at Joe trying to be a badass.
Listen, that's fine. It might be funny, but that funny might get you on the field and be like, listen, at least we turned up. Like, you got to at least have something to you. It got to be some substance to you. You can't just sit there and say, Boston Reno.
Tyvis, why are you not coaching? And I mean that in all sincerity.
We said that on the group thread.
Because I'm going to say it again, and I just did a podcast. I forget, I don't even know the name of it, but it was a good podcast, Buckeye related. But anyways, I am not going to be a coach, Jay.
Because of the family.
No, because it's not the family.
It's the commitment. Your family is football.
That's true, but that's not why.
And I know you're a family
because
man.
my wife was already, I was down to do it like a couple of years ago. But the reason being is because if I tell you, listen, Green Bay come out in this formation right here. Every time they come out in this formation, 98% of the time, this is the plays that they're going to run. This is the route you're going to get in the secondary. And we get to that game on Sunday, and they come out in that formation, and they run that route, and nobody make a play on that ball, I'm going to choke somebody. I'm going to literally run out there and choke them. You know why?
Because you told them.
No, exactly. But you know what they're going to say? The fans going to say, wow, why aren't they making plays? Like the coaches, it has to be the coaching. It has to be the coach. And I'm be sitting there like, I literally told them what was coming. So if you're not going to act, no, because now you're making me look bad. That's not going to happen. Not on my name. You won't play on my name, make me look bad. Not at all. So that's why I don't want to choke I don't want to choke a player.
For what it's worth, there are a lot of folks on this staff that think that you would make a tremendous coach.
I appreciate
your personality, your intelligence, your experience, your resume.
I like to give it to the fans. I like to just teach the fans.
So you're the people's coach.
Yeah, I just want to teach
You know
the
what?
fans.
We hope you stay in that role because we like you.
We got the people's champion and the people's coach.
Yes, we do.
And he said choking someone out, Jay. That's a perfect transition to our next topic here.
Yeah.